So I just wanted to talk a little bit about a term that often comes up in reference to yogis and yoginis, and especially in reference to yoga teachers. The term, that's so un-yogic. So this comes up often when people in the yoga community think that somebody is not living up to sort of the bigger moral picture of yoga, or they're not living up to the epitome of some sort of enlightened guru. So I just wanted to do this vlog, dispel some of the myths about yoga teachers in specific. Yoga teachers are often, unfortunately, put on some sort of a pedestal as if they're already enlightened beings, or, you know, they've got everything completely together. And this is a really dangerous perspective for a lot of reasons. One is that it's going to set you up for disappointment. So if you are a student and you hold your teacher up in this regard, it's going to set you up for disappointment when you realize that your teacher is actually just a human being who has flaws and character traits and, you know, bad habits just like you do. And it's also incredibly dangerous for the yoga teacher. Over and over again throughout the history of yoga, we will hear of scandals involving, you know, yoga teachers doing things that some people would consider unethical or un-yogic. And I think where this stereotype can come in is, again, when we put our yoga teachers on a pedestal, and also when we don't acknowledge the difference between a householder and a renunciant. So in India, there are two kinds of yogis. There are yogis that are the wandering yogis. They're basically homeless, and they're ascetics, and they are renunciants, so they have renounced the world and left the world. And that's one style of yogi. But there's also the yogis and yoginis that are householders. They're regular, everyday people who teach yoga. They buy groceries, they have families, they go to work, they do all of the things that you do, it's just that they happen to teach. And so if we look at all yogis, ones that are householders, and we hold them to the same standard as a swami or a renunciant or a nun or a monk, then obviously none of them are going to live up. So this comes up over and over again when you look at sort of the yoga community at large, when some sort of celebrity yoga teacher ends up doing things that his following or her following thinks are unethical or un-yogic. And so what can we do about this? Well, one, we need to realize that our yoga teachers are human beings. We are not enlightened. We are not, you know, we're not Buddhas. We are just regular people. Yes, we do have some skills and some tools that maybe not everybody has to help to deal with some of the stuff that comes up for us, whether it be physically or emotionally or spiritually. But we are just human beings. We're doing the best we can every day, just like everyone else. And so there's a lot of stereotypes that are out and about yoga teachers, and I want to dissuade some of them right now in this video, so that if some of you are holding your yoga teachers to this impossibly high standard, that you can cut them some slack to save them a fall from your imaginary pedestal, and also to save you a little bit of heartache. I connected with some of my yoga teacher friends to ask them for any of the stereotypes that they have heard. So some of these are mine, and some of them are from my yoga teacher friends. So the first myth that I would like to dispel here about yoga teachers is that we are all vegetarians. Totally not the case. Some yoga teachers are vegetarians or vegans, and some are not. I don't know if maybe there's a higher percentage of vegetarians and vegans within the yoga teaching community. That's something I do not have the statistics on. But I know for, in the yoga teacher friends that I have yoga teacher friends, some that are conscious carnivores, some that are pescatarians, some that are flexitarians, and some that are just downright carnivorous and even eat steak. So again, letting go of this sort of misconception that a householder yogi is going to have the same degree of renouncing as a yogi who is a swami or a nun or a monk. So that's number one. Some yogis are vegetarians and vegans, some are not. This is one that I've come across, is that yoga teachers are all completely natural, meaning we don't color our hair, we don't paint our toenails, we don't wear makeup, we don't wear deodorant, and probably there are a lot of yoga teachers out there that fit that bill. Certainly if you're a renunciant, you would fit that bill. So if you renounce the world, then yeah, you probably don't do any of those things. But that's just totally unrealistic. Again, yoga teachers are human beings. So, you know, we paint our toenails, we maybe wear a little bit of makeup, you know. I remember actually having one of my students see a photograph of me and saying, "Oh, you're wearing makeup," as if that was surprising to her. Meanwhile, I had to tell her, actually, you've never seen me without makeup. So I do wear cosmetics. They are all natural and organic, but cosmetics nonetheless. So again, this is just one of those sort of misinformed opinions that we have about yoga teachers. Another one is that yoga teachers don't drink at all. And again, if you are a renunciant, then that is hopefully the case if you're a nun or a monk or a swami. But again, householders, we haven't renounced the rest of the world. We're just trying to live a slightly more mindful life, or maybe much more mindful life, in existing in the world. And so I can't speak for all yoga teachers, of course, but I do know that some yoga teachers enjoy the odd alcoholic beverage. I myself really like the odd glass of wine if it's an organic white Pinot Grigio, and the odd time I will go out to see some live music and, you know, have a drink or two. So another common misconception with yoga teachers is that, you know, we all wake up at the crack of dawn and we do hours of yoga practice a day. No. Maybe. No. Maybe some do. Again, some people that are householders maybe do. I am not a morning person myself, so yes, I do get up in the morning and I do my yoga practice and I do my meditation, but certainly not at the crack of dawn. And there are days sometimes where it doesn't even happen, my yoga practice. On Saturdays, for example, I teach a lot earlier, so I don't do my yoga practice in the morning or sit. I usually would do that later in the day, and if I don't have time later in the day, I do sneak in a meditation, but I often will skip my yoga postures on a Saturday. All yoga teachers have busy lives and busy schedules just like you, so how much they practice and how often may be independent on how busy they are. I remember another yoga teacher friend of mine telling me a story where she was out and about just going for coffee with a friend and ran into one of her yoga students, and she happened to have a Starbucks cup in her hand, and her yoga student was like completely upset and was like, "I can't believe that you drink Starbucks." So again, you know, holding yoga teachers to a standard above sort of the rest of society is only going to disappoint you and also going to make the yoga teacher feel bad. Another very common yoga teacher myth is that teachers are very strong and very flexible. Again, totally not accurate. Some yoga teachers are very strong and flexible. Some may be strong and not flexible. Some may be flexible and not strong. I myself have never actually been what I would consider flexible, other than in my hips. I've always had some chronic tight spots and lots of really big tight muscles. So I'm certainly don't fit into that category of being strong and flexible. I am more flexible now because of yoga, and I'm fairly strong. But again, you know, we all come into yoga with certain genetic predispositions, injuries, issues, and we still have them when we practice. We just hopefully manage to improve them. And another yoga myth that we often hear or think of is that all yoga teachers are very, very small, you know, skinny little things. And again, obviously not the case. I'm a, you know, average size to maybe slightly above average girl. I've got plenty of curves, and amongst all my yoga teacher friends, they all have completely different builds and frames and fat percentages. So again, that's just another common misconception that, you know, all yoga teachers are these tiny little wafy things, you know, that are really strong and really flexible. So I hope that that has helped to dissuade some of the common yoga teacher myths out there. And we want to make sure that when we're looking towards our teachers, and this is for myself as well, because I still have teachers. I have yoga teachers that I study with, and I have a meditation teacher that I study with on a regular basis. And you want to make sure that we always keep in the front of our mind that this person's a human being. They're not enlightened, they're not Buddhas, and they're not monks or renunciants, unless maybe they are a monk or a nun, or a swami. But that those of us that are householders who choose to teach haven't renounced society. We're just trying to live a more mindful and a more aware existence among society. So I hope that that was helpful. If you have any yoga teacher stereotypes or myths that I haven't mentioned that you've thought of yourself or that you've heard of, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to check them out and see which ones I've missed. Thanks so much. Namaste.